Hi, and welcome to the NLP UK Training podcast. I'm Fraser.
And I'm Steve Kay.
And today we're going to be talking to you about burnout. So many people are talking about burnout and the effect that it's having on them. I've had burnout twice.
Okay.
Steve hasn't. So we're kind of coming at this from different perspectives. Me from what's helped me, and Steve from the perspective of the things that he's already got in place. It means that he's never experienced burnout. So first of all, what is burnout? Because Steve wasn't really sure what it was when I first mentioned
I might have
this.
had it once, but not in a... I think I did have it once where I was doing too much.
Yeah.
And my whole mind shut down.
Literally, that's what happens. So I can remember the first time I got burnout, and this was going back quite early in my career. I'd just been promoted to quite a senior position within the organisation. So I was really trying to prove myself at work. I also had a very young family. My youngest was maybe 18 months old.
Right.
My eldest would have been 5 years older. Plus, I had 3 stepchildren and juggling all of that. So I was trying to do everything.
Yeah.
Not just at work, but at home as well.
Okay.
And I said yes to everything because I thought that was what I had to do.
Okay.
I wanted to get ahead at work. I wanted everything to be perfect at home. I wanted to have it all.
Right.
And I didn't actually set any boundaries for myself.
Okay.
And because I was kind of trying to do so many different things and putting so much energy into it, it kind of got to this stage where I started to forget things.
Okay.
I started to drop the ball on things. My thoughts got really fuzzy.
Right. I'm like that now.
That's age, Steve. But I wasn't functioning at the level that I knew I was capable of functioning in any area of my life. And the more that I tried to raise my game, the worse I felt.
Yeah.
And it actually got to the point where I just almost completely shut down. I couldn't function. I couldn't look after my young family. I couldn't function at work. Thankfully, I had very, very supportive people around me that helped me see why I was where I was, but also helped me develop strategies to get out of that position.
Okay. What kind of strategies?
So I think kind of the main one for me was actually learning to say no.
Okay. Yeah.
I think back then I was very, very much a people pleaser.
Yeah.
I wanted everything to be perfect. So I was a perfectionist.
Yeah.
I was a people pleaser. I wanted to keep everyone happy.
Yeah.
And because I wanted to keep people happy, if they asked me for something, yes, of course I can do that. And
because you want to look good.
I kind of wanted to look good, but it also gave me a nice feeling. It's a nice feeling to say yes to things.
Yeah.
Until it becomes too much.
Yeah.
When you've got so many balls in the air that you're juggling,
yeah,
that you can't keep any of them up in the air anymore, and they literally all fall down.
Yeah.
So I think it's about picking and choosing which balls you want to have juggling in the air, and making sure that if you're going to put another ball up in the air, another ball has to fall away.
Okay.
One of the greatest questions I've been asked was, every time you say yes to something, what is it that you're then saying no to?
Okay.
Because you can't do everything. So that's a question that I've almost kept in my mind to help me decide whether I want to say yes to something new. Because if I want to say yes to something new, something else has to come out the picture.
Okay.
And actually that keeps everything quite balanced.
Okay.
So it's about knowing what's important to you. And we've talked about this on numerous
values,
podcasts.
yeah.
What are your values? Does this thing that you're saying yes to fit with your values?
Yeah.
Is it going to serve you?
Yeah.
And do I really want to do it? And again, we've talked about this several times.
We have.
You know, we've got to the point in our careers where we very much don't do the things that don't bring us joy in our careers. We're very fortunate to be able to be in that position.
Yeah.
We both run our own businesses. And sometimes when you're employed, that's not as easy to do.
No, definitely not.
However, you can still set boundaries with your employer about what you are prepared to do and what you're not. I think what happens in a lot of organizations, they want to have a stretching culture.
Yeah.
And they want to stretch people. They want to stretch their results. But the problem is they get it a little bit wrong.
Yeah.
They don't stretch people's capabilities. They stretch people's capacities.
Okay.
And ultimately, all of us have a finite
Can you
amount
explain
of
what you mean by the
Yeah.
difference?
So this is about piling more and more work on top,
Yeah.
or more and more tasks on top.
Yeah.
And each task, with the best will in the world, if a task takes, even if you're working optimally, takes an hour to do,
Yeah.
and you've got 14 of those tasks to do each day,
Yeah.
that's a 14-hour day, no matter which way you look at it. You cannot squeeze that any further.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if companies were focusing on stretching capability
Yeah.
to help you optimize your performance,
Yeah.
rather than stretching capacity, which is about number of tasks and time, they'd get better results and have less burnt out people.
Yeah.
So my advice, after having gone through this myself, and certainly not in any way, shape or form being at that point over the last 10 years since I've really found NLP and doing what I love, have boundaries, understand what's important to you, and say no to the things that don't serve you, that don't fit with your values. And when you feel like you're juggling too much, just take a breath, step back, prioritize yourself and your self-care. You know, it's like that old saying, you know, it's a bit of a cliche these days. You know, when you're on an aircraft, they say put your own face mask on first,
They do.
before you try and help someone else. And that's not just about whether you're a coach. This is in any profession. If you're not at your best, you cannot perform in your job role, in your life role, in any other capacity. So your own welfare has to become a priority.
I think a lot of people have the same kind of thing going on at home with family and wider family. So they feel obliged, obligation to do things for the people when they're not thinking about themselves. I've been called an island.
I'm happy as an island these days.
I've been called an island. But I think the other thing is, to me, it comes back to values, because I've had conversations with people who've said, I really don't sync with my career job anymore. I said, well, don't do it. Do something else. Well, we've got to do it because it brings in XXX amount of money. And it's like, that's a lot more money than I earn. And I think, well, why would you do something just for that money? What is the point of you having problems at home and problems with your career if you're not enjoying it? And, you know, it's impacting on your family as well, and impacting on your husband or your wife or whatever. to me, it all comes back to values and
Yeah.
living by your life values or your career values of what is important. But I think it comes back to this whole limiting belief thing as well, because some people don't feel they've got a choice to move out of a career, or I mean, we know loads of people who've got, huge mortgages and outgoings. Well, I remember Dawn saying to me a few years ago, why do you want another house? We've just paid off the mortgage. Why do you want to take another mortgage on? Like, just enjoy it. Just enjoy what you do and do the career you want to do. So I think it's about choices. But yeah, am I helping here?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. We've all got to eat.
Yeah.
We've all got mortgages to pay, bills to pay, and certainly, as the bills only ever get bigger, it seems. But ultimately, if you don't prioritize yourself, you won't be able to work to earn that money.
Yeah.
So self is so key to everything else. And ultimately, money is a means to an end. It's not, it shouldn't, for me, it certainly should be the center. It allows me to do some great things. But ultimately, if I need to take time out because my welfare is the most important thing, that's what I've designed my life around to do.
Yeah.
So again, it might not be taking big steps to change a career overnight, but it's taking small steps to put yourself first.
Yeah.
And certainly,
Or your family, or your close family and partner first. Yeah.
And looking back, the reason that I felt I had to say yes to everything, the reason that I had to have control of everything, the reason why it all had to be done by me was probably a big limiting belief that I didn't get rid of until I did my NLP training. So again, this is where NLP can really help you see what's underneath some of those behaviors that cause things like burnout.
Yeah. Yeah. Because good burns out.
Yeah.
To anybody, are you? Or yourself or anybody else.
Yeah.
You can't help anybody else. So I was going to say, what would you recommend people do if they're listening to this and they're thinking, actually, that's happening to me. What can I do about it? What can they advise me to do straight away? So
a couple of really simple things that you can do. First things first is take time out for yourself, even if it is only 15 minutes a day.
Yeah.
That is non-negotiable, where you go and lock yourself in a room. If you've got small kids running around like I did when I first had burnout, I would just go and lock myself in the bathroom. I'd put headphones on. So that, if the kids were screaming, my husband was in the house at the same time. So he was looking after them. Yeah. They weren't on their own. So that I could just have 10, 15 minutes just to breathe.
Yeah.
So really, really simple. The second is learn to say no. When you're tempted to say yes, just take a breath. And instead of saying yes, say, let me think about it and I'll come back to you.
And why am I saying yes?
Yeah.
Am I saying yes to look good? Because I'll get some praise and attention.
Yeah.
Because if you go through life like that, then you're going to be, then someone else is driving your bus.
Absolutely.
You're not driving your own bus, are you?
And I think just being able to take that step back and give yourself time to think, rather than working on the automatic pilot, because I was saying yes just because that's always what I said. So learning to take a breath and saying, let me have a think and come back to you, that can give you that space to make that decision whether this is something that you want to do or feel that you should do. If you hear yourself saying, I should do this, you probably shouldn't. So guys, for more tips, we'll be back with our next podcast episode soon. And you can look at a little bit more information about what we do at NLPUKtraining.com and give us a shout if you want some more information. We'll see you next time.
All content is on LinkedIn, and
absolutely.
we'll connect with you.